This is beyond my capabilities. James Crawford gazed intently at the pregnancy test resting on the marble kitchen counter. His hands shook slightly as he undid his tie. What do you mean you are unable to? Emma Thompson's voice trembled. She stood facing him, still clad in her medical scrubs, having hurried home from her residency shift to deliver what she believed would be delightful news. The organization is growing. Next month, we will be relocating our operations to Singapore. He avoided her gaze. I intended to share this with you during dinner, so let's proceed together. James, this is our creation. This decision is solely mine, Emma. The merger has already received the board's approval. Next month, I will be tying the knot with Helen Chin. The stillness that ensued struck like a tangible force. Emma clutched the counter, seeking stability. Is it Helen Chin, the daughter of your investor? How long? It's not what you imagine. It's all about the enterprise. The merger necessitates business. Emma's laughter echoed emptily. I'm expecting your child, and you're discussing work? James extended his hand towards his briefcase. Rest assured, you will be well looked after. The penthouse belongs to you. I will engage my legal team. Your legal representatives? Emma advanced with purpose. Gaze upon me, James. Gaze into my eyes and declare that the past 3 years were insignificant. He finally locked eyes with her, and Emma perceived a depth in his gaze that sent a shiver down her spine, more unsettling than his words. Void. The man she cherished, the one who had knelt beneath the stars to propose 6 months prior, had vanished. Apologies, he stated, yet the expression felt robotic. He approached the door, hesitating without looking back. The accounts are set to be transferred by morning. Please refrain from reaching out to me. James. Emma's voice faltered. The door clicked into place. Emma lingered in the kitchen. The haunting sound of the pregnancy test's positive results lingered in her thoughts. Her phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A message from Sarah Chun, her fellow resident. What was his reaction to the news? Yet another excitement. A breaking news alert. Crawford Technologies has revealed its merger with Chun Global, while CEO James Crawford is set to marry Helen Chun in an intimate ceremony in Singapore. The chamber whirled around. Emma hurried to the bathroom, just in time to be sick. As she knelt on the cold tile, her hand instinctively found its way to her stomach. The device emitted a sharp beep. She was essential to the hospital's needs.
Urgent surgical intervention.
Emma lifted herself, splashed water onto her face, and gazed at her reflection. She was a physician. First Thompson, then the abandoned fiancé. Her patients relied on her. She snatched her keys, pausing momentarily at the kitchen counter. The pregnancy test remained untouched. 2 pink lines stand out vividly against the white plastic. Emma slipped it into her pocket. Proof of the instant her existence transformed in 2 significant ways. Inside the elevator, she crafted a reply to Sarah. He has departed. I'll elaborate on that later. On my way 2 or 3 now. The lobby doors swung open, and Emma emerged, her shoulders squared and her head held high. With 9 months ahead to learn the ropes of single motherhood, her immediate focus was on saving a life. As she approached her car, her phone buzzed one final time. A notification from the system. Access to the following accounts has been revoked. Emma removed it without delving deeper. With 12 hours remaining in her shift, a surgery awaiting her skill, and a future to reconstruct, she pressed on. James Crawford had just committed the gravest error of his existence, though she remained blissfully unaware. He didn't either. The morning sun seemed to taunt Emma as she attempted her card at the ATM for the 4th time. Access to the account has been denied. She rested against the cold metal of the machine, fatigue from her night shift intertwining with a growing sense of urgency. Is Dr. Thompson available? Sarah Chun materialized next to her, cradling 2 steaming coffee cups. You appear quite unwell here. Emma took the coffee with a sense of detachment. He meticulously cleared out all the clutter. Collaborative savings. Verifying. Even my personal account in some way. Sarah's impeccably groomed nails gripped her cup with precision. That is against the law. He is unable to invade your personal. He certainly did, and his name appeared on all the rest. Emma retrieved her phone, displaying to Sarah the cascade of notifications. The keys to the penthouse are also ineffective. After my shift, I made an attempt to head home. Goodness. Sarah gently guided Emma away from the ATM. Where did you rest your head? In the call room. Emma took a sip of her coffee, her face contorting in distaste. Morning sickness turns this into something akin to battery acid. Please don't go, Sarah urged without hesitation. The spare room is available now that Jenny has moved out. Emma's phone vibrated once more. Margaret, the mother of James. She chose not to answer the call. Emma remarked that it was the 6th time she had attempted to get in touch with her. Likely a matter of managing the situation. Perhaps she was unaware, Sarah proposed. Have you heard the latest updates? Emma gently shook her head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. Sarah accessed a business article on her phone. Crawford Technologies reveals unexpected merger. CEO James Crawford was seen in Singapore alongside his fiancée, Helen Chun. The image captured James in a sharp suit, with Helen's hand resting on his arm. They exited the restaurant. James's smile was refined and perfected. Emma observed the timestamp with a sense of detachment. This was captured 3 days prior. He had made up his mind. A nurse hurried over to them. Dr. Thompson, regarding the patient you saw last night. The surgical removal of the appendix. She's falling apart. Emma returned her coffee to Sarah and adjusted her white coat with a touch of precision. Page healer. Reynolds as a secondary option. I'll arrive in 30 seconds. Emma, Sarah began. Without hesitation, Emma interrupted her, already in motion. Prioritizes saving lives above all else. Life to reconstruct anew. The crisis occupied the following 4 hours. As Emma stepped out of the OR, the weight of a successful save behind her, she noticed 7 missed calls from Margaret Crawford and a solitary text from an unfamiliar number. This afternoon, a courier will deliver the legal documents that need your signature. As she immersed herself in the pages, Sarah stumbled upon her once more. You're moving in with me, Sarah declared. My brother has already brought boxes to the apartment. We'll retrieve your belongings after the shift concludes. Emma glanced upward, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I am unable to do that. You have the ability and the determination to succeed. Sarah's tone was definitive and unyielding. I have identified 3 banks that are conveniently located within walking distance of the hospital. We'll set up a new account for you during lunch. I have power bars stashed in my locker to help with the morning sickness, and my cousin happens to be a lawyer who focuses on exactly this type of situation. Emotions overflowed. Sarah, don't you dare thank me, Sarah cautioned, enveloping her in a warm embrace. Simply make me a promise. Everything. Once you regain your strength, and you will ensure he regrets ever knowing the name Emma Thompson. Once more, Emma's pager chimed insistently. Yet another crisis has arisen. With a gentle sweep of her hand, she cleared her tears, straightened her posture, and offered a faint smile. Agreed, she replied, already retreating toward the operating room. However, to begin with, go and make a difference, Sarah concluded. I will take care of the banks. As Emma prepared for her second emergency of the day, she quietly vowed to her unborn child. James Crawford may have shaped their history, but he would not dictate their destiny. She was determined to build her strength for the 2 of them over the next 9 months. The scrub nurse's gaze met hers through the window. Are you prepared, Dr. Thompson? Emma nodded, hands lifted, thoughts focused. Prepared. 3 months into her pregnancy, Emma found herself in Sarah's living room, captivated by a glossy magazine cover. The wedding photos of James and Helen took center stage in the business section, showcasing their Singapore ceremony as a flawless fusion of Eastern and Western grandeur. Stop torturing yourself, Sarah said, swiftly taking the magazine from her hands. Concentrate on this instead. She gently pushed a letter across the coffee table. The hospital letterhead shone brightly beneath the warm glow of the lamplight. Concerning your research proposal focused on minimally invasive surgical techniques for children. Did they give it the green light? Emma stood tall. Complete financial support. With a beaming smile, Sarah announced that she was now officially at the helm of her own research team. As one person was occupied with tying the knot in Singapore, another was transforming the landscape of pediatric surgery. Emma's phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Once more, it's Margaret Crawford. Following countless unanswered calls, she resorted to sending messages. I genuinely want to assist. This isn't the outcome I envisioned for you or my grandchild. Emma decided to block the number. Sarah mentioned with caution that your mother had called the hospital once more. She continues to press for your return to Boston. That's not going to work. Emma gently caressed her expanding belly. I refuse to rush back just to validate their assumptions about my age and this lifestyle. The television in the corner abruptly drew their focus. Crawford Technologies unveils groundbreaking expansion into Asian markets. Today, stock prices surged following the announcement made by CEO James Crawford. With a swift motion, Sarah extended her hand towards the remote. However, Emma interrupted her. Let it be. I must find out what he is up to. James appeared transformed on screen, more challenging in some way, his well-rehearsed smile now polished and professional. Helen stood beside him, exuding grace in her high-end attire, her diamond ring glimmering under the bright flashes of the camera. Sources indicate that Crawford Technologies is actively pursuing the acquisition of smaller tech companies throughout Asia, the reporter elaborated. This signifies the organization's boldest. The broadcast was abruptly interrupted by a knock at the door. Sarah responded as Emma silenced the television. Courier, Sarah called. Additional legal paperwork. Emma had become accustomed to these. Every week brings papers needing signatures, each one increasingly intricate. Michael, Sarah's cousin and her new attorney, meticulously examined each document. Typical non-disclosure agreement. He had elaborated on the initial group. He's purchasing your discretion regarding the pregnancy. He is unable to, Emma had responded. Indeed, he cannot, Michael concurred. However, accepting these funds without signing provides us with an advantage. Emma received the fresh envelope from Sarah. In a moment of strategic thinking, she retrieved her laptop and launched the financial tracking program that Michael had configured. Modest investments, strategic planning, all entirely above board. How close? Sarah inquired. Emma did the math. Just 3 more years. By that time, I will possess a significant number of shares that will have an impact. He won't anticipate it at all. Emma's hand gently cradled her belly, feeling the lively kicks of the baby within. No, he won't, her pager vibrated. Urgent consultation required in pediatrics. With a sense of purpose, she declared, standing up with caution. Emma, Sarah exclaimed as she approached the door. A baby shower is being organized by the nurses for next week. Only a few, just the hospital personnel. Emma hesitated, her throat constricted. Thank you very much. We're your family now, Sarah stated plainly. Every one of us. As Emma navigated the road to the hospital, her gaze fell upon a billboard showcasing Crawford Technologies' latest headquarters in Singapore. James's face beamed over the city, the tagline below proclaiming, "Crafting Tomorrow." Indeed, Emma murmured to her unborn child, though not the future he envisions. Her phone illuminated with a notification from the hospital. An extremely unwell child is on the way, and emergency surgery is probable. Emma transitioned smoothly, her thoughts already racing towards the upcoming case. Allow James to construct his realm of silicon and circuits. She was crafting something more resilient, a future forged from resolve, expertise, and the subtle power of defying expectations. The little one stirred once more as she pulled into the hospital parking lot. Message acknowledged, dear child, she beamed. Let's embark on a mission to make a difference. Dr. Thompson, your blood pressure is increasing, Dr. Martinez cautioned, casting a quick look at the monitor. It is essential that I know precisely what my BP is doing, Emma snapped, her hands deep in a patient's chest cavity. And I will not exit this operating room until this child's heart is functioning as it should. At 39 weeks pregnant, she was officially on maternity leave, Yet she had come in for a consultation when the emergency case unexpectedly emerged. A young child, just 6 years old, facing a unique cardiac condition. Emma, Sarah's voice came through from the opposite side of the operating table. Allow me to take the reins. Nearly finished, Emma asserted, her focus unyielding even as the contractions surged through her. Simply require to, here, keep an eye on the screens. The heart rate has reached a steady state. Normal sinus rhythm has been restored. The anesthesiologist confirmed that the patient is stable. Emma withdrew, her hands slipping away.
Come closer, Sara.
I believe, she clutched the edge of the table. I believe I am experiencing labor pains. The ensuing moments unfolded in a whirlwind of activity. A figure assisted her onto the gurney. Her scrubs gave way to a hospital gown. Throughout the entire ordeal, Emma continuously inquired about her patient's condition. The child is perfectly fine, Sarah reassured her, now transformed and standing beside her. Concentrate on your own child for a change. After 14 hours, Lucas James Thompson entered the world, his cries echoing with vitality, crowned with a thick mane of dark hair. He resembles him, Emma murmured, cradling her son for the very first time. He resembles you, Sarah stated with conviction. Resilient, determined, already defying expectations by making an entrance during surgery. A sudden knock at the door sent a wave of tension through them, but it turned out to be just a nurse, carrying an enormous bouquet of flowers. These have arrived for you, Dr. Thompson. The card stated plainly, congratulations and Margaret Crawford. How did she? Emma started. Hospital chatter, Sarah sighed. Would you like me to dispose of them? Emma gazed at the blossoms, then shifted her gaze to her son. No, place them by the window. She is his grandmother, regardless of any other roles she may hold. Another knock echoed through the room, and in walked Dr. Martinez. The individual you attended to earlier? Flawless restoration. Your parents have been inquiring about you. Share the news, Doctor. Thompson is on the mend after heroically saving her child during the birth of her own, Sarah declared with pride. Emma hardly registered their words. She found herself captivated by Lucas's face, committing every nuance to memory. He possessed James's chin, yet her eyes were unmistakably his. Though his hands were small, the strength of his grip on her finger was remarkable. Hello, Lucas, she murmured softly. Everything will turn out fine. The glow of her phone illuminated the bedside table. An important update. Crawford Technologies has established its headquarters in Singapore. Emma gazed at the flowers by the window, then turned her attention back to her son. Two paths diverged in this hospital room, one leading to resentment, the other to resilience. Dr. Thompson, a resident, peeked in. Apologies for the interruption, but would you be able to provide some guidance on... Out, Sarah commanded. She has just brought a new life into the world. Emma chuckled, the sound catching her off guard. It's all right. Share the details of the case with me. As she absorbed the resident's account, Lucas remained nestled in her embrace. Emma sensed a quiet resolution take root within her. This was her essence. A physician, parent, a resilient individual. Begin the task, she directed the resident. I will take a look at the files tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sarah declared with enthusiasm. Emma, you can't. Just watch. Emma repositioned Lucas in her embrace. We'll make our rounds from the wheelchair if necessary. Indeed, the young one, Lucas let out a yawn in reply. For the first time since James departed, Emma felt an unwavering certainty that they would be more than just okay. They were destined to be remarkable. Mom, check this out. Little Lucas, just 2 years old, proudly displayed his finished puzzle, a bright smile lighting up his face. He completed the 48-piece dinosaur set in under 10 minutes. That's incredible, darling, Emma exclaimed from her home office, where she was going over surgical notes. How about giving the 100-piece one a go next? Sarah, sprawled on the office couch with medical journals scattered about her, lifted an eyebrow. It's important to remember that many 2-year-olds are still in the process of mastering shape sorters. Don't you think? Most 2-year-olds aren't like Lucas, Emma remarked, emphasizing a part of her notes. Her forthcoming presentation on her innovative surgical technique was attracting global interest. The television in the background abruptly drew their focus. Crawford Technologies shares have taken a nosedive following swirling rumors of a divorce. Reports indicate that CEO James Crawford and his wife, Helen Chun Crawford, have decided to part ways. Sarah silenced it in an instant, yet Emma had already tensed up. "It's fine," she interjected before Sarah had a chance to respond. "I came across it just last week." Margaret reached out. "So you're answering her calls now?" "She sends Lucas books, the kind that educate," Emma shrugged. "And she has been supportive. With specific investments." Sarah straightened her posture. "What about the shares?" 15%, Emma confirmed softly. "One more year, perhaps two." Lucas stood in the doorway, gripping the 100-piece puzzle tightly. "Can you assist me, Mom?" "You really should take a break," Sarah insisted. "The presentation can hold off for now." Emma glanced at her watch. 3 hours remained before her next surgery. "All right, my friend, let's see what you're capable of." As they laid out the pieces across the living room floor, Emma's phone vibrated with a buzz. A message from Johns Hopkins. She was invited to showcase her surgical technique at their annual conference. "Incoming," Lucas declared, playfully dropping a puzzle piece onto her head and bursting into giggles. Emma enveloped him in a warm embrace, inhaling the familiar fragrance of baby shampoo. "How about we take a trip to Baltimore, my little friend? Mommy is preparing to deliver an important speech." "Concerning the repair of delicate hearts?" Lucas inquired. He had invested considerable time at the hospital, gaining an unexpectedly thorough understanding of her profession. Indeed, she assisted him in joining two pieces seamlessly. "Perhaps we could explore the aquarium afterward," Sarah observed from the threshold of the office. "The conference is scheduled for next month. Isn't that the moment when will James be receiving his Innovation Award?" "Indeed." Emma maintained a steady tone. "Baltimore is a large urban center." "Father?" Lucas inquired abruptly, causing both women to halt in their tracks. He gestured toward the silent television, where James's image lingered on the screen. "Do you appreciate my image?" Emma felt a tightness in her chest. Lucas kept James's official company photo nestled within the pages of his cherished book. He discovered it on the internet by himself, showcasing his evident skill with technology. "Indeed, my friend," she succeeded. "Do you appreciate your image?" Lucas contemplated for a moment, then resumed his work on the puzzle. Looking for additional blue pieces? Sarah reached for the remote to turn up the volume, but Emma quickly gestured for her to stop. Allow James's empire to either fall apart or rise to great heights. It was no longer of any significance. On the living room floor, they assembled puzzles together. A son who inherited his father's brilliance, yet carried her warmth. She was crafting something of immeasurable worth. Once more, her phone vibrated with a notification. Margaret Crawford is asking for a FaceTime call. Emma gazed at it for an extended moment, then acquiesced. It was time for Lucas to meet at least one grandparent, despite her own reasons for keeping that connection alive. "Are you prepared to greet Grandma Margaret?" she inquired of Lucas. He glanced upward, his brown eyes shimmering with keen insight. "Is she able to assist with puzzles as well?" With a confident smile, Emma clicked accept, watching as Sarah slipped out of the room without a word. "I have no doubt she can." The Henderson Children's Hospital Annual Gala proudly presents Dr. Emma Thompson, a trailblazing pediatric surgeon and this year's esteemed recipient of the Medical Innovation Award. Emma smoothed the fabric of her emerald evening gown, Lucas's tiny hand snug in hers, as they strolled down the red carpet. At the age of 3, he was already captivating attention in his tiny tuxedo. "Are you prepared, my friend?" she murmured softly. "Ready, Dr. Mummy?" He responded with a serious tone, causing several nearby photographers to coo in delight. Sarah emerged alongside them, radiant in her blue attire. "They are prepared for your arrival behind the scenes." "I choose Lucas." "Absolutely not," Emma replied with conviction. "He remains by my side." The choice to have Lucas present her award had sparked curiosity, but Emma was ready to step into the light. Allow the medical community to witness precisely what achievement resembled. A devoted mother, a skilled surgeon, and a child who represented her most significant accomplishment. The ballroom thrummed with the energy of Seattle's upper crust. Emma led Lucas to the stage, acknowledging her colleagues with a nod. At that moment, her gaze fell upon him. James Crawford lingered by the bar, aged yet undeniably recognizable. She shouldn't have been taken aback by his presence. Crawford Technologies made a significant contribution. Across the room, their eyes locked in a silent exchange. Dr. Thompson, a coordinator, made an entrance. "You'll be up in 5. Emma was the first to look away, lowering herself to Lucas's height. "Keep in mind the techniques we worked on." He nodded with a grave expression. "Present you with the Distinguished Doctor Award and extend my heartfelt congratulations." Flawless. She pressed her lips to his forehead, fully conscious of the intensity of James's gaze upon them. The opening commenced. Emma ascended the stage, with Lucas mirroring her movements perfectly. As she commenced her speech, the spotlight illuminated them both. 3 years ago, I came to a profound realization about tiny hearts. She began, her voice resonating with clarity and strength. They exhibit an impressive strength in the face of challenges. They mend. They become more resilient. At times, they impart lessons on bravery that surpass anything we might acquire in medical school. Her innovative surgical technique has rescued countless children. Yet, as she articulated her thoughts, James's presence enveloped her, heavy and palpable. He remained still, did not make an approach. He observed as his son, a son he had never known, assisted in presenting the award that would secure Emma's legacy in the annals of medical history. And so, she concluded, "To all the little hearts I've nurtured back to health, thank you." Yet, the most heartfelt gratitude is reserved for my son Lucas, who showed me that the most resilient spirits aren't always those we tend to. Lucas advanced precisely as planned, cradling the Crystal Award with meticulous care. "Congratulations, Dr. Mummy," he announced into the microphone, eliciting a wave of appreciative laughter from the audience. The applause erupted without delay. Emma embraced Lucas tightly while the cameras clicked away, intentionally avoiding any glance towards the bar. Later, at their table, Sarah leaned in closer. "He has departed. Departed immediately following your address." Emma nodded, observing Lucas captivate the hospital board with his intricate understanding of heart chambers. "Excellent." "He appeared taken aback," Sarah remarked. What could seeing Lucas possibly mean? What could it signify? Emma's voice was frigid, made him recall what he left behind. "He has decided." Lucas hurried back to their table. "Mom, Dr. Wilson mentioned that I can check out the big machines tomorrow." Emma drew him into her embrace, inhaling the essence that felt so known. "Have you expressed your gratitude to him appropriately?" "Indeed. I inquired about the echocardiogram just as you instructed me." As Lucas began to deliver a surprisingly precise account of cardiac imaging, Emma noticed a recognizable silhouette near the exit. Margaret Crawford, resplendent in silver, observed them with glistening tears in her eyes. Emma offered her a subtle nod. Margaret handed it back before vanishing into the darkness. "Mommy," Lucas pulled at her sleeve. "Shall we visit the fish tank once more?" "Absolutely, darling." Emma reached out, grasping his hand firmly. "Allow James to return to Singapore, where his marriage is falling apart and his investments are thriving." She possessed all that was precious in this very place. "Dr. Thompson," a nurse rushed to the scene. "Urgent situation approaching. Your presence is essential." Emma glanced at her watch, then turned her gaze to Sarah, who was already extending her hand toward Lucas. "Go," Sarah instructed. "We will manage the fish tank." Emma knelt down, pressing her lips gently against Lucas's forehead to bid him good night. "Show kindness to Aunt Sarah." "Please save the tiny heart, Mommy," he said, and Emma's heart swelled with a love so intense it was almost painful. This thought raced through her mind as she hurried toward the hospital wing. This was a genuine achievement. James Crawford remained blissfully unaware of the magnitude of his loss. The surgical board hummed with whispers the following morning. The Society page headline on a phone revealed that the CEO of Crawford Technologies departed from the gala prematurely. Emma brushed it aside, concentrating on her post-op notes. The emergency surgery performed last night was a success. Another small heart mending. Dr. Thompson? A nurse stepped forward with caution. A call is waiting for you from Singapore. I'm not inclined to engage. Emma kept her gaze fixed downward. The nurse spoke softly. It's not him. My name is Helen Chen Crawford. She mentions that it concerns your stakes in the business. Emma's pen came to a halt. She had exercised caution, employing shell companies and following Margaret's advice to discreetly acquire stock. If Helen were aware, please convey a message. She also brought up a detail regarding Margaret Crawford's condition. Emma's gaze shot upward. Which condition are you referring to? Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Sarah's voice echoed from behind. I have just received the lab results. Margaret is being admitted today. Emma felt the pen break in her grip, blue ink smudging her fingers. What is the duration? Several months? Perhaps a few weeks? Sarah offered her a tissue. She is seeking your expertise as her physician. Emma let out a dry laugh. I specialize in pediatric surgery. She requires your help, Sarah interjected. And you understand the reason behind it. Lucas's weekly video calls with his grandmother. The learning tools, the financial guidance. Margaret was constructing connections as her son was setting them ablaze. Emma's phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Here comes another news update. Crawford Technologies shares tumble as leadership turmoil unfolds. Dr. Thompson? The nurse remained in anticipation. Concerning the call from Helen Chen. Let her know I'll return the call. Emma stood, adjusting her crisp white coat with a sense of purpose. Once I meet with Margaret. Margaret's secluded chamber was situated on the oncology level. She appeared diminished in some way, her typical grace overshadowed by the starkness of hospital linens. I was curious who would be the one to break the news, Margaret remarked as she greeted you. It's your daughter-in-law, quite unexpectedly. Emma glanced at the monitors with a practiced ease, though I have a feeling that call wasn't truly concerning my shares. Smart girl, Margaret offered a faint smile. Helen is getting ready to end her marriage. She seeks companions. And she believes Emma paused, grasping the essence of dawning. She aims to push James out. The board is divided. Your contributions could sway the outcome. Margaret extended her hand toward Emma. However, that is not my purpose for being here. I understand. Emma clasped her hand softly. Lucas is eager to meet with you. James is unaware. Concerning any aspect of it. Margaret's eyes brimmed with emotion. The illness, the separation arrangements Lucas's presents. Are you hoping he will? What I desire, Margaret expressed thoughtfully, is to spend time with my grandson while I still have the chance. The remainder, she gestured with a delicate hand. The remainder is a matter of commerce. Emma's pager vibrated with a sudden urgency. Yet another crisis has arisen. Go, Margaret said. However, Emma, as Helen reaches out once more, pay close attention. At times, the lines between retribution and fairness can appear strikingly alike. Emma hesitated at the threshold. I'll bring Lucas along after my surgery. Thanks a lot. Margaret's voice halted her once more. He possesses the intellect of James, you see. Yet your heart. I'm so grateful for that. Emma rushed to the operating room, her thoughts swirling in a whirlwind. Helen Chen sought a companion. Margaret was nearing the end of her journey. In a distant corner of Singapore, James Crawford was on the brink of discovering the full extent of his losses, in ways he had never anticipated. Her phone vibrated one final time before she prepared for the task ahead. Helen Chen Crawford has initiated divorce proceedings, asserted dominance in Crawford Technologies. Emma offered a faint smile as she secured her surgical mask in place. The dynamics of the game were shifting. For once, she possessed every advantage. Claims of deceitful activities shake Crawford Technologies to its core. The financial news droned on in the hospital lounge. Emma observed James's visage appear on the screen, his expression weary and fraught with tension. Mother? Lucas lifted his gaze from the complex equations in his advanced mathematics workbook. Why is Dad on television once more? 3 months had slipped by since the gala. Margaret's health had deteriorated, leading to her relocation to the hospital's private wing for long-term care. Industry updates, darling. Emma gently caressed his dark locks. How is your math progressing? Completed. He confidently presented her with the finished calculus problems, assignments intended for students much older than him. Is it time to visit Grandma now? Just as Emma was about to respond, Sarah suddenly entered the lounge with great energy. This is something you must witness. She pushed her tablet ahead, showcasing an email from the attorneys representing Helen Chun. Our client wishes to engage in a prompt conversation concerning your 18% stake in Crawford Technologies. Is it really 18%? Emma's eyebrows arched in surprise. I possess merely 15. Yesterday, Margaret passed her shares on to Lucas. Sarah hushed her tone. Everything is above board. She arranged for her attorneys to handle it prior to commencing the new treatment. Emma's phone chimed with a call. Once more, we have Helen Chin. She had been reaching out every day. Go on, take it, Sarah insisted. The moment has arrived. Emma paused, her gaze fixed on Lucas. He had gone back to his workbook, softly humming while he tackled equations that would perplex many grown-ups. Stay with him, she instructed Sarah before stepping out to answer the phone. Dr. Thompson here. It seems you've been steering clear of me, Doctor. Helen's accent was sharp, her tone professional. There are important topics we need to address. What do you mean by that? For instance, the shares that your son has recently acquired. Alongside your personal assets, you now possess the most substantial single block of Crawford Technology stock. Emma observed Lucas from behind the lounge window. I understand. James remains unaware of the boy. Helen's voice took on a steely edge. That might evolve. Be cautious, Emma cautioned gently. Intimidation tactics are ineffective against me. Not a danger. Helen took a moment to consider the opportunity. Assist me in seizing control of the board, and James Crawford will lose it all. Isn't that what you desire? What I desire, Emma articulated thoughtfully, is to secure my son's future. Thus, we are on the same page. The board convenes next week in Singapore. Your presence would hold significant sway. Emma's pager vibrated with urgency. Margaret's monitors displayed troubling complications. I'll think about it, she replied hastily. I must take my leave now. She hurried to Margaret's room, discovering Lucas already present, gently holding his grandmother's hand while she rested. Her numbers declined, Sarah conveyed softly. However, she found her footing. Emma personally reviewed the charts, medical intuition clashing with emotional ties. She finally revealed that they want her in Singapore. Helen Chun is taking her step forward. Go, Sarah said. I will observe both of them, Margaret said, her gaze settling on Emma. Singapore, she inquired softly. Indeed, Helen reached out. Margaret offered a subtle smile. It's time for him to gain some understanding. What did you learn, Grandma? Lucas inquired with a sense of naivety. Margaret gently clasped his tiny hand. The greatest errors in life often carry the heaviest costs. Emma's phone vibrated once more, the travel agent notifying her of the confirmed first-class tickets to Singapore. As she observed Lucas articulate his calculus concepts to his grandmother, a chilling sense of inevitability enveloped her. James Crawford was on the brink of realizing that he hadn't merely left behind a fiancée 3 years prior. He had forsaken his entire future. The board of Crawford Technologies is now set to hear from Dr. Emma Thompson, who represents an 18% controlling interest. The atmosphere in the Singapore boardroom shifted as Emma rose to her feet. James, seated at the far end of the table, turned ashen upon her arrival. Helen Chun sat gracefully between them, exuding an air of composure. Before I start, Emma said with a serene demeanor, I have something to reveal. She powered up her laptop, linking it to the room's display. A video started to play, showcasing Lucas at his study desk, immersed in solving intricate engineering problems as he engaged in conversation with Margaret. "This is Lucas Thompson," Emma narrated as the footage played on. At the age of 3, an IQ test revealed a score of 164. "My son," she hesitated, allowing her words to resonate. "Our son, James." The boardroom was filled with chaos. James clenched the table, his knuckles turning pale. Her phone vibrated softly. Sarah's message sent a chill down her spine. "Margaret is falling apart. Return immediately. I'll be concise." Emma tackled the disorder head-on. "I am casting my votes for both my shares and my son's shares in support of Helen Chen's restructuring proposal. James Crawford is officially dismissed from his position as CEO." She shut her laptop, the air thick with the fervor of protests echoing around her. James remained still, silent. "Dr. Thompson," Helen called out just as Emma was making her way to the door. "It would be beneficial for us to have a conversation about. My attorney will take care of all the details." Emma maintained her pace. "Patient is awaiting my attention." She boarded the earliest flight back to Seattle, yet it felt agonizingly slow. Margaret departed an hour before she arrived, with Lucas gripping her hand until the very last moment. "She left this for you," Sarah said as Emma hurried in, extending an envelope toward her. Within the envelope lay a letter accompanied by a USB drive. As Emma immersed herself in her book, Lucas lay asleep, worn out by his sorrow. "My dear Emma, the board meeting has concluded by now. I trust you showcased our boy's exceptional intellect. This is my final offering to you, a testament that James discarded not only affection but also heritage. The drive holds all that is needed. James's initial merger documents, the retroactively dated marriage license with Helen, the questionable stock transfers. I have retained copies of all documents since the moment he departed from you. Utilize it with care, not for retribution, but for Lucas. He will require shelter from the impending storm approaching Crawford Technologies. Care for him deeply on behalf of us all. Margaret." Emma connected the drive, realization washing over her as she absorbed the words. James didn't merely walk away. He engaged in corporate fraud to facilitate his departure. The merger, the union, everything had been meticulously planned long before she revealed the news of the pregnancy to him. The sound of her phone pierced the silence. "James, don't," Sarah cautioned, but Emma replied. The line was enveloped in silence. "Why?" James finally inquired. "Your opportunity to question was forfeited 3 years back." Emma observed Lucas as he lay in slumber. "The company now belongs to Helen. The reality is yours to confront." "Emma, I must take my leave now. Farewell, James." She ended the call, severing ties by blocking his number once and for all. Sarah gently placed her hand on her shoulder. "What comes next?" Emma gazed at the medical journal resting on her desk, featuring her most recent surgical innovation on the cover. Then at Lucas, radiant and captivating, entirely free from the weight of his father's influence. At this moment, Emma wore a wistful smile. "We now pay tribute to Margaret's final desire. We continue to create something far superior to what he ever imagined." The pager vibrated urgently, signaling the need for immediate surgery. The world continued its relentless spin. Small hearts still required rescue. In a corner of Singapore, James Crawford was coming to grips with the real price of his decisions. "Your application for visitation rights has been rejected." Emma perused the court documents in her office, the invitation to Lucas's 4th birthday party resting unopened beside them. 3 weeks had gone by since Margaret's funeral. James had made the journey for the occasion, yet he lingered at the rear of the church, departing before Emma and Lucas made their entrance at the reception. The office phone illuminated. "Crawford Technologies has initiated its bankruptcy proceedings. Dr. Thompson," her assistant peeked in. "Mr. Crawford awaits in the lobby. He won't go until he has the chance to see you." Emma shut her eyes for a moment. "Contact security immediately. He possesses documents. Claims to be from Margaret." That caused her to hesitate. "Kindly grant me 5 minutes." She discovered James near the fish tank at the hospital, Lucas's beloved spot. He appeared utterly shattered. Tailored suit creased, gaze empty. "Security's on their way," she remarked as a form of greeting. "I will keep it concise." He extended a hefty envelope. "This was left for Lucas by Mother. It has just been made public by her legal team." Emma approached it with caution, keeping her distance. "Is that everything?" "Helen has emerged victorious. The company has come to an end. I have completed my task." He let out a hollow laugh. "It appears to be reasonable in some way. This situation is completely unjust. James." Emma's voice was unyielding. "You ensured that 3 years ago. I wish to meet him." "Absolutely not." "Emma, he's not an asset you can take over." She interrupted him. "He is a young one, my young one, the one you chose to leave behind. Our child," he gently corrected. Emma's laughter held a sharp edge. "You forfeited the privilege of that term the moment you prioritized a merger over your loved ones. The merger was misguided. All was amiss." He moved in closer. "Allow me to attempt to—" "The security team has arrived." Emma acknowledged the advancing guards with a nod. "Farewell, James. Hold on." He retrieved yet another envelope. "My correspondence to him. For when he matures." "Kindly." Emma accepted it, merely to hasten his departure. "It's worth noting that he has already outperformed your company's top engineers at just 4 years old." A grimace contorted James's features. "Like parent, like negative." Emma interjected. "As the mother, so the son. I am the one who remained." She observed as security led him away, then proceeded to her next surgery. The envelopes smoldered in her pocket, yet they could bide their time. She had lives to rescue. As the night deepened and Lucas drifted into slumber, Emma took the time to read through both letters. Margaret's was brimming with affection, insight, and a financial legacy that would secure Lucas's academic journey. James was brimming with justifications. She carefully placed both items into a fresh envelope, marking it with the date for Lucas's 18th birthday. She penned her own letter, brief yet more sincere. "My beloved son, your father selected a realm of transparency and technology. You have been selected by me. It was the simplest decision I've ever encountered. With all my heart, Mom." Her phone vibrated, signaling urgent news updates. Assets of Crawford Technologies have been seized. James Crawford, the former CEO, is currently under investigation. Emma switched off her phone and headed to see how Lucas was doing. He slumbered serenely, enveloped by volumes on cardiac surgery and the intricacies of advanced physics. Margaret's final offerings dispersed among them. Some decisions, Emma reflected, observing her son's steady breaths, resonate through time. Yet, at times they resonate in manners we could never foresee. She gently shut his door, keeping the past locked away in letters for a later time. And the award for excellence in pediatric surgery is presented to Dr. Emma Thompson. Cheers filled the medical conference hall. At 6 years old, Lucas sat in the front row, nestled between Sarah and his beloved nurse, radiating joy as his mother stepped onto the stage. 3 years prior, I found myself at another podium, Emma began, discussing the delicate nature of tiny hearts. Today, I want to discuss the larger ones, those that continue to persevere against every challenge. The innovative surgical technique she developed has set a new global benchmark, rescuing countless children in the process. Yet, as she spoke, her gaze continually drifted to Lucas, who was nearly buzzing with eagerness to reveal his own news. Unbeknownst to the crowd, James Crawford quietly entered from the rear of the hall. He appeared transformed, lacking the designer suit and the corporate sheen. The inquiry had taken away all that he held dear. And so, Emma concluded, to every parent who has placed their trust in me with their child's heart, I extend my heartfelt gratitude. Your lessons have shown me that true strength often lies beyond the visible. Lucas leaped onto the stage, perfectly timed, as he handed her the award. However, on this occasion, he was ready to share his own news. My mom mends hearts, he announced into the microphone, and I'm going to assist. I have been accepted into the gifted medical program. The crowd inhaled sharply. The initiative was designed for secondary school learners. At the age of 6, Lucas was just beginning to explore the world around him. Emma embraced him tightly, her eyes welling up with tears. Absolutely, we'll tackle them side by side. Later at the reception, Sarah gently prodded her. He has departed. Once more, Emma nodded, observing Lucas as he elucidated cardiac anatomy to captivated medical students. Great, he has departed, leaving this behind. Sarah presented her with a newspaper clipping. A former tech CEO dedicates time to volunteering at children's hospitals in Singapore. Emma discreetly set it aside, saying nothing. Let James seek his redemption in other places. Their journey, her journey, was already determined. Mom, Lucas just called. The dean is inquiring whether I can commence the program next month. Emma approached her son, setting aside the clipping and its meanings. They possessed delicate hearts in need of mending, and that was the essence of it all. As they exited the conference hall, Lucas animatedly discussing valve replacements and cardiac rhythms, Emma noticed their reflection in a window. A mother and her son, clad in matching white coats, poised to make their unique mark on the world. Some empires, she mused, are constructed from glass and steel, yet the most resilient are forged from love, one pulsating heart at a time. The Children's Cardiac Wing of Henderson Hospital has been renamed the Margaret Crawford Center for Pediatric Innovation. 9-year-old Lucas straightened his tiny lab coat, standing proudly next to his mother as they revealed the plaque. Dr. Lucas Thompson Crawford. Emma noted the smaller nameplate beneath his research station, the youngest certified medical researcher in U.S. history. Lucas beamed, his father's dimples appearing, while his mother's resolve sparkled in his gaze. Are we able to commence the trials today? The design of his pediatric heart valve, initially conceived at the tender age of 7, meticulously honed by 8, and now poised for testing at 9, had already garnered international acclaim. The gathering was intimate, consisting solely of hospital personnel and a handful of journalists. Should anyone have observed James Crawford lingering at the rear of the gathering, they chose not to speak of it. He had aged a decade in 3 years, the journey of redemption through Asia's children's hospitals etched in the lines of his face. Emma then took the floor, inviting my colleague Dr. Lucas Thompson to share his remarkable breakthrough with everyone present. Lucas advanced with assurance, diving into an intricate explanation that had experienced cardiac surgeons staring in astonishment. Emma observed him, her heart brimming with emotion. Her phone buzzed, signaling yet another award nomination, yet another speaking invitation. She had long ago lost track, yet those were not her most significant accomplishments. Her most significant accomplishment was taking the stage, transforming cardiac care before he reached 10, embodying his grandmother's kindness and his mother's resolve in every phrase. As the throng began to thin, Emma noticed James remaining by the plaque. Their gazes intertwined for a fleeting moment from opposite ends of the space. No words were necessary to be spoken. With a single nod, he brushed his fingers over Margaret's name etched on the plaque before departing. Are you prepared for your initial official case review? Emma inquired of Lucas, who was already retrieving patient files on his tablet. Ready, Dr. Mom, he said with a serious tone. Then his face lit up with a grin. Let's have a race to the conference room. Emma observed him sprinting forward, his white coat billowing in the wind. 9 years prior, she found herself in her kitchen, clutching a positive pregnancy test, as the weight of her world seemed to crumble around her. Now she stood in her hospital, observing that same world unfold beyond her most imaginative aspirations. Are you joining us? Lucas returned the call. Without hesitation, she replied, and trailed behind her son as they ventured toward their next wonder. Some choices resonate endlessly, yet at times those resonances transform into melodies.